Hi, and welcome to the 2025 February monthly energy forecast with me, Marisa, Liza Pell. I'm really looking forward to getting into February 2025 because January wasn't the big shift that we were looking for in terms of moving into the new year. There was a lot of transition that had to go on between January, especially the first 3 weeks of January, up until now. February of 2025 is literally the biggest shift that we've experienced in 20 years. So let me get into that. I have some really exciting stuff coming up. We're going to go over the key dates, we're going to go over the monthly themes, and also a little gift that I created for you to start to get unstuck in 2025 and completely launch your life and your business and your goals and your romantic future. All of it is here today. Like I said, this is where the energy is taking big shifts for 2025. Not so much in January. I know everybody expects that for the new year, but it just wasn't the way it was going to be this year. January was really a time of transition. And normally, at the end of December, it takes people like about a week to kind of jump back into life after the holidays and the new year. But this year, it took about 3 weeks. And so many people were like, Marisa, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get back into things? And I'm like, don't beat yourself up if this is you. I actually posted a guided message about the importance of these transitions. That's going to be on the website and the links will be below. But we must grieve transitions properly, and we must be able to transition from seasons properly, from moving, from our jobs, relationships. If we just go from thing to thing to thing and not grieve the emotions or transition with the emotions, those all get suppressed in the body as lots of anxiety. So we want to make sure we take that space and time to be able to acclimate to new energies. And it's okay if it takes you a little bit longer than maybe somebody else. We don't want to rush these processes because then we're not going to be able to be present to the new energy that's coming in. The theme of this year, actually all of 2025, is going to be alignment, particularly soul alignment and completely transitioning to the new you. Okay. Shedding your old skin and completely getting unstuck. So if you've been hanging out here and watching these forecasts, you know what we've talked about over the past 3 to 5 years about stepping into your higher purpose, transforming, all that, all your breakthroughs, getting out of your old cycles and patterns. And now we're going to really talk about alignment, okay? Because when you're in alignment, you actually feel what you're ready to do. You actually get the clarity with the head and the heart, okay? Because a lot of times we think things and our mind says one thing and our body says another. Why is that? It's because they're not integrated. And when they're not integrated, we're going to be usually taking steps in life or making decisions out of our survival mechanisms, our survival mode, and the things that we've learned early on in life. Okay. So that means that if you're making your career decisions based in this state, if you're making your job decisions based in the state, you're going to be living pretty small. Okay. That means that you're not really going to be stepping into your full alignment, your full potential, and the things that you're supposed to really be doing here on this earth plane. And sometimes people get stuck in this, not just for years, not just for months, not just for days, but for decades. And for me, it was about 3 decades. So you can be a professional doing really well in your career, making money, but being like waking up every day feeling like something's missing. Your relationships might not be as good as your career, but you might be waking up every day saying, you know what? I feel like I was meant for more. I feel like I'm supposed to be fulfilling something else, making a purpose. You're looking for connection. You're looking for deeper relationships. You're wondering why you keep cycling in certain areas, but in other areas you're fine. And you're like, why do I keep banging my head against the wall with all these things that I want to be doing, and yet it's not manifesting on the outside? This is why soul alignment is really, really important, but it's not just about manifesting and affirmations and reading books and figuring it out. You're not going to be able to intellectualize this process because it involves coming back home to yourself. And that involves integrating the mind, the body, the spirit, and clearing space on 3 levels: mental, physical, emotional. And then we go to the top levels of spiritual and psychic levels, but that comes later. So if you're not clear on those levels, that means all of your energy centers cannot be aligned, and then you're making decisions from a very fragmented space, which is going to bring you of feeling like everything's all over the place, everything is scattered, you have puzzle pieces all over the place, and nothing's really making sense. And you feel in limbo a lot, like you have one foot over in the old life and one foot over in the new life. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to get into soul alignment, get unstuck, and instead of trying to make decisions and forcing yourself to make decisions to get clarity, really the way it's supposed to go is you're supposed to get the clarity before you make the decision, right? But in order to get that, we need to embody our energy. Okay. So this is as much energetic as it is intellectual, and it is as much scientific as it is spiritual. So I'm going to get into that more as we go along, but this is where the energy is going. And it's not like you're going to have a decision. I think in the last 3 years, it was like, well, you could break through or not. You could decide to do the work or not. Now you're not going to have a choice. Like, it's either going to get really uncomfortable or you're going to step into bigger things. And I hate to say it to you, but when you do step into those things that you want, that's going to be uncomfortable too. So you're going to have to experience anxiety either way. Why not step into the bigger thing and experience discomfort rather than the discomfort of the old familiar road? Okay. So for a long time, 3 years to be exact, most of us had some wisdom about what we would like to step into. That would be a path of our highest alignment or greatest fulfillment. But we had feet, like I said, in both worlds. The old world is where we cycle on the merry-go-round. We do the same things over and over again, maybe with a different job, and it's the same pattern, or we go into the same relationships over and over again. And this could be family, this could be romance, this could be work, but it's like you get out of one thing and it seems like you're doing it again over and over again. And so the old world, where we were once cycling on the merry-go-round, and the new world is now visible, and it has been visible over the past 3 years. You've known like really what you wanted, but it just seemed like out in the distance. It seemed a little far off. And you're like, well, you knew where you wanted to go. You knew what you desired, but you didn't know what the steps were to get there. So it was almost just enough fulfillment to like think about it, fantasize about it, but doing it, that is a whole other thing altogether. Stepping into what we really want is actually harder than stepping into what we don't want. It's actually very automatic, very easy to go around on the ride again. And then we're like, why isn't anything working in this sector of my life? Well, it's because it's supposed to be hard, right? It's not supposed to be easy. The easy path is not the one of instant gratification. It's not the one where you go and get intuitive insight and be like, oh, that makes sense. Here's the magic wand. I don't have to do any work. And in a year, my soulmate's going to arrive and all of my patterns from my childhood are just going to magically go away. And this is going to fix all my problems. It doesn't work that way. The hard part of stepping into what we want is going to be a lot of feeling uncomfortable, because stepping into what you want, as soon as it's there, as soon as it's time to get there, the body actually is protecting you from what you want because of your past emotional blocks and wounds. And this is what has to be released. And those things are not just released from getting information. We have to release those and deactivate them from the body. Like I said, fantasizing about what we want to do does give us a little bit of a jolt, but it doesn't mean we're going to get started. So how do we actually start, especially with such big shifts? So I noticed that these were the big questions that I was getting time and time again. I didn't really have to convince anybody about the dreams that they have to validate those dreams about their new home, their dream home, a vacation home, a fulfilling, more aligned career, more freedom in their business, having more space on their calendar, or even the impact of having the lifelong dream of a loving and fulfilling partnership, right? So that means if you're single, actually stepping out of your pattern and meeting someone that can give you what you want, but you have to be ready to receive it. If you're not ready to receive it, your protectors are going to come up and you're going to say, oh, this person looks really good on paper, but I'm just not attracted to them, right? So, or a really big career opportunity can come up for you. Let's say you want to write a book. A publisher might come your way and say, okay, are you ready? And you get to starting to write a book and you sabotage it. You can't sit down and write it, or you find a way to get out of it, or energetically you wait too long and then the opportunity passes, right? But you're saying, well, why can't I get this done? This is because the nervous system doesn't have the capacity. And when the nervous system doesn't have the capacity, the body, the physical vessel that we were born into to complete a purpose, can't like turn on the light switch, can't activate that purpose. So we came here to do very specific things, But part of that journey is we have to actually get clarity first. And getting grounded in the body is the first steps to that. If you think about it, if you look at the last couple of years, the outside, what was playing out in your external world, didn't really match the inside, right, of what you really truly desired. And the responsibilities of life just kept weighing you down. There's no time, there's no energy, there's the investment that you had to make at these points to make the big leaps weren't accessible to you. Like you just didn't think you had the time, energy, or money, whatever it was, or you didn't want to make the investment because then you had to do the work because you didn't have the time, right? So maybe you had the money to make the investment in yourself or to do some personal work, but you didn't believe in yourself to be able to follow through, right? Or trust yourself to be able to do it. Just the way that the body sabotages and the mind tells you a story that going into the bigger life and receiving the joy that you want is accessible to you now in 2025, but you're going to have to do a little work to get there. Okay. So basically, if you don't have the time, money, energy, you can't make the big leaps, and the familiar road seems like it's the only option. So that's what you take. But we all know that there isn't ever a perfect window of time, and it always comes with more to do anyway. So you set a window of time. I'm going to work on myself when, right? I'm going to get into soul alignment when I'm going to step into that new hobby I always wanted to do. I know so many people in their midlife area that's like, I always wanted to play an instrument, or I always wanted to do ballroom dancing, or I always wanted to paint, but yet it's a fantasy. And I'm like, I'll do it next year. I'll do it during the new year. I'll do it when the kids go to college. But then there's other chaos that they find themselves in. And that's because the capacity is small. And they're like, how can I not do these things when I take care of everybody else? I'm the strength for everybody else. I solve everybody else's problems. Yes, that's where your energy is. Your energy is all taken up by solving everybody else's problems, and not the spotlight is not on yourself to actually do the things that you want to do, because at some level you feel like it's not going to work, right? So being visible, being seen, being heard, being understood, all those things at some point in your life, emotionally wounded, you were hurt. Right? So you're like, well, I want love. Well, if you want love, you're like the love you want, the connection you want, then you're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to let somebody else take the lead. You're going to have to let go of control. You're going to have to let yourself be seen in a vulnerable way. That's scary to the nervous system, right? So you say you want these things, but yet you can't get there. So what happens is you attract people that are reinforcing that pattern, right? Because they themselves are in that pattern too. So it's important that the self-work comes before that. And what we're looking for when we think, oh, love's going to fix everything, it's really the connection to the world. We're looking for connection, feeling connected to ourselves, the world, things around us, to people, to the universe. And we think that exists in the ultimate love relationship, but that actually exists in us, and then the relationship actually gets magnetized to us. We don't even have to think about it, right? The right one, okay? And actually, when you meet the right one, you're going to get triggered more than you've ever gotten triggered in your life, because that's going to trigger all those protections of vulnerability and trust, right? So it's not all a magic wand. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say about 2025. But the tools are there for you, and the time is there for you to take these actions. Okay, so we all know that there really isn't ever a perfect window of time, and it always comes with more to do. So make that time now. Okay, February 2025 is your new year. So what I decided to do to help you out, what I decided to do is to create a whole new system from beginning to end on soul alignment. Okay, that means the highest system I have with the highest level of support from the ultimate beginning of the pathway of the journey, leading you to getting unstuck, getting into soul alignment, getting into fulfillment. So I worked backwards. I completely overhauled everything I do. I completely took stock of everything that we have available for the tools, and I worked backwards, and now I have something really exciting for you to get started. So there's no excuse to say, well, Marisa, I just don't have time for this program that you do, or I just don't have time to watch a video for an hour. I made something where you can get started getting unstuck now. So you can't say to me, well, I need the money to be able to join a course, or I need the time to be able to watch a video and sit down in front of the computer. or I need the energy to be able to focus, right? I made stuff that you just can't say, no, I can't do it, right? So I decided to create the brand new Getting Unstuck audio series, okay, just for you to activate this energy. So it's going to tell you the story about where I was, what I did, how I got here, how I had my breakthrough, and the next steps that you need to take to get unstuck, step into a bigger life of more fulfillment, and stop the setbacks for good and the self-sabotage, not just for the time being, but for good. Imagine you didn't have this stuff going on anymore at all. So after you listen to the forecast, I want you to make sure you go down below the link and download the Getting Unstuck audio series. It's my gift to you to start this brand new era. It's not only just with me. It's not just with you. It's with the world. It's about stepping up in consciousness, and that's where we're going. And I made it super simple to consume. So it's audio. You can listen on the go, in the car, on a break, during a workout, washing your dishes, however busy you are and overwhelmed. You can listen to it. Okay. So if you want to get unstuck, I'm providing the resource, and all you have to do is listen to it on your own free time. No videos to watch, no worksheets, no guides, no PDFs, just a complete mini audio series with a complete mindset shift. Okay. So it's going to start you, if you're in the beginning of this journey of getting unstuck, you can either start there and say, Marisa, I want to go to the next steps with you, and I want you to take me on this journey. Or you could have a mindset shift and take a break and think about it and listen to it over and over again. Or you could say, hey, I'm ready to go the full gamut. I want this breakthrough. You can say you want to start at the beginning and leave it there. You can start at the midpoint, or you can jump into the highest level program that I have to get this breakthrough in an accelerated way. It's all up to you. But I'm making this accessible to everyone because I don't want you to say to me, you're trying and you don't have the time. Take it from me because I've been there. I also have something else to announce and celebrate too, because the energy pertains to all of us, right? So when you go to download the series, you're actually going to see that I have completely rebranded. I have a whole new website, and Getting Unstuck tells the story of why I did that too. I want you to have, now moving into this era of the world, 2025, a true heaven on earth experience to get there. And I'm going to show you how, step by step. Okay. I spent 25 years of my life doing the opposite, bringing people from earth to heaven and connecting to heaven. And now I want people to bring heaven to earth so that while you're here, you can have that amazing experience of what you came here to do. You don't want to have those regrets moving on in life. So my new role will still encompass all of my gifts, but at a much higher level, which provides not just insight, but also complete transformative breakthroughs in your life. And at the core of this is soul alignment. That's the umbrella of everything that we're moving into in the world and what my work is moving into. So the whole new website is going to show you all of what I offer now. And it's not really completely that different, but it will require you to take a step up. Okay. It's not a magic wand solution anymore. When you want a better life, you have to be ready to get it. Okay. So you have to be in enough pain that you don't want to do the things you've been doing anymore, and you want more out of life. So we need more. We need intuitive mastery, not just manifesting tools like affirmations or The Secret or anything like that, but the power to focus, number one, get clear, and then manifest from intention, manifest intentionally. And for the past 10 years, it took me, 10 years, I've gone through the process myself. And now it's time that I'm bringing this whole proven system to you. And what had to happen was I channeled it, and then I had to work backwards from the highest level support that I give people on this transformational breakthrough and move backwards to the actual beginning. So we have a lot of exciting things moving forward this year. So I'm putting both feet in, and I want you to too. So you will see that things have changed on the new website, which is just my name, MarisaLizaPell.com. Where will you go? Only you know. But let's get started in the process. And I've made it super easy. Just go listen to the Getting Unstuck audio series. It is my free gift to you as a subscriber. And as somebody who's been watching me for a while, I figured I don't want to give you an excuse not to do the work you need to do, right? And it's going to be fun. So let's get to it. Let's talk about this month. The theme of the month, obviously, is shedding your skin. So it's kind of fitting that this forecast is coming out on Groundhog Day, because the whole theme is all about going around and around in cycles and patterns, right? The theme of the year is completely shedding your skin. So this isn't like a little change or achieving a goal or getting a job or a promotion or blah, 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 or starting a business, but rather a whole metamorphosis. And you've been preparing for this the last 3 years. So some things that will most likely happen during this month, okay, during this period of time in world consciousness. Okay, I'm going to list them all out for you. Now, if you are in my private channel, my private community, Manifesting Momentum with Marisa, this will be the last month that you will get this enhanced PDF guide. So everything that I'm saying with this monthly forecast this month will be in a nice guide for you, all put together, so you don't have to go back and watch every single thing that I said and take notes, right? So this is something that I've been giving to my members in the free community for the last 3 months. So make sure that if you're not a member, you go to the link below and you will see where to join. Okay, so I want to tell you some of the things that will most likely happen during this period. So pay very special attention. Number one, you won't recognize people that you've known a long time. You will shift so strongly, and that means the frequencies between you and other people will shift as well. It's almost like sometimes people that you related to, you're now speaking a different language, and it just isn't relating, right? Number two, you will find you're being drawn toward activities that you didn't ever think you would ever want to do before, and the interest appears out of nowhere. Number three, there are things that have come to fruition around you, either personally or professionally, and you will have absolute clarity about what you need to do. There will be many endings, okay? And they've already started. So if you've seen that happening, that you just kind of knew certain things have run their course and you need to move in a different direction, that's the theme of what's happening. And you're wondering, like, how am I getting this clarity? But this is not due to any sort of upheavals, misunderstandings, or arguments, or anything like that. The frequencies are just moving apart, and you're going to feel that. So you will now have focus that you haven't ever had before toward a long-standing dream, goal, or project, and you will almost have downloads of information coming to you how you need to move forward with proceeding. It's like, oh my God, I've been looking for clarity about this for years. All of a sudden, you're going to have it. And it's stepping into it that's going to be the harder part. Number four, there will also be relationships that are paused or in the background, or people you just felt kind of went their own way. Like you haven't seen certain people in the last 3 years, or maybe you haven't heard from them. And some of these people will just suddenly reemerge back into your life. And this is for a very specific purpose. And these people would be those that you wouldn't expect to return. It's kind of like, where do these people come from? This is odd, but welcome them because it's for a purpose. So the things that would be changing, like as strange as it may seem, aren't the things you were even struggling with or were expecting to change. These are relationships and plans around you that you couldn't have even expected would change, that are going to be changing. It's just something, it's going to happen where you're going to get an instant knowing of where they stand now. And this will happen to you, not just once, but probably at least 3 times. Soul groups will stay together to learn together. If you are growing together, no matter how tough the relationship is, and this is why it won't be the things you expect. The tough relationships aren't necessarily the ones that I'm talking about. The trajectory that I'm talking about is clarity back to connection, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in detail in the next part. You will also feel stronger internally than you've ever felt before, and you will find that you have the strength and energy to accomplish and do things almost immediately, and those things that you didn't ever think were possible, that you had both feet in different places, and almost immediately you have a knowing and you're able to do it, right? So you will also have opportunities to meet and forge connections that are not planned. So these in places that you wouldn't be even expecting to forge connection, like in the grocery store or in a library. You just don't know. Also, there is a little bit of a shift in dimensions where time will overlap. You will almost be drawn to specifically the 90s, right? That era of time. Think of what you did then and where you used to go. One example is the library, looking at books, or a video store or a record store, right? Sometimes we have the nostalgia or memories of certain times, but this month you might find yourself actually wanting to go and re-experience something that you've missed during those times, or really you weren't fully present for. So you're going to have the opportunity to almost experience a different time-space continuum, which is really cool. So this time period also favors the written word. Books, publications, and divine downloads are favored now. Long-standing soul promises and commitments will be planned for now. And those people that are on the same consciousness level with you, specifically to fulfill certain missions and purposes, are going to be with you for the long term. So expect commitments and long-standing ones to appear. These are business partnerships, friendships, love relationships, and soul contracts. So in the same sense, relationships that are falling away will not be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So you must make room for soul groups and those with whom you are doing your work. Hanging on to relationships by a thread that are a little bit further away from you, just to hang on to them will not serve you. In fact, it will delay your process. Those relationships will most likely return, though, in the next 5-year period. Okay, so let's get into the key date highlights, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The 1st and 2nd of February is actually preparing you for the 3rd of February. You've done a lot of hard work and now it's time to play. So this will be a wonderful energy of new beginnings. You'll have access to the magic that the universe brings. Even if you have specific plans, be open to the spontaneity and the luck of the day. Forge new connections and try new things. The universe has something very specific to tell you, and fun. February 4th almost feels like you're coming down hard from the highs that you had the day before. This is a day where there'll be hard things, hard work, hard things to talk about, and plans on how you need to untangle certain patterns that have been deeply ingrained for most of your time here, especially with your close partnerships. If you develop a plan to work together, this time things can actually work and be taken from start to finish and completion, and actually you can move on to the next level of your journey in full happiness with these partnerships. February 5th, you may have felt like the 3rd was just one of those days where everything felt right, and the 4th made you feel like you were yet back again in Groundhog Day. But rest assured that the 5th will show you that the difficult plans and emotions needed to come up for a plan to be put into place for those difficult emotions for the future of whatever needs to be worked out for you and your soul partners was indeed necessary on the 4th. So the difficult conversations you had to have were necessary to the happiness and fulfillment that awaits you. February 6th, you want to take this day as a solo day to reflect on all the hard work you've done so far and give yourself credit where credit is due. Some things are not meant to be forced or pushed, and definitely not pursued, especially in the professional arena. You chasing and doing most of the work is behind you now, and the professional partnerships you merge with now will do just as much of the heavy lifting as you, if not more. You will feel such a change that it feels bizarre to have help in areas you've always maintained total control in, and it also feels uncomfortable, but allow yourself to receive as you've earned it. February 7th, 8th, and 9th are played out in the plans you had from previous months. Whatever activities and things that you planned, you most likely came across or also did last year, and you may expect them to turn out the same. As with everything in the forecast this month, this may be one of those weekends where things start to be more revealed to you about practical things out in the world that you no longer have to waste time or energy on. February 10th and 11th, strong days for contracts and negotiations, legal papers, home ownership, anything that requires a commitment other than romantic partnerships on these days. February 12th to 14th, you may feel a bit unsettled on these days as most of your hard work with certain things or projects from the last 2 months is now completed. And you know that you have to scale the next steps on the peak of your mountain. Most likely the work that you have accomplished is big, but is the actual stepping stone that you needed that you didn't ever have. And now you have no excuse but to go after your dreams. This is where your nervous system work and intuitive inner guidance is going to be literally essential to you taking those next steps. February 15th, this is the day that you most likely will make the internal decision to get something else off the ground and finally do it. So you can do it. I do believe in you. I know it will happen. February 16th, love is in the air. If Valentine's Day weekend didn't feel as right with the energy this year, today is the best day to share your professions and enjoy yourself. I'd actually recommend going out today instead of Friday or Saturday to celebrate. If you're riding solo, treat yourself to a luxury spa session this weekend and spend more than you want to. It will come back to you, don't worry. February 17th, 18th, and 19th, this is really where you need to get something off the ground that takes quite a bit of effort and practicalities. So be prepared for a lot of work and have your team ready to go 2 weeks prior. This is what you've been working toward, and whether it's professional or personal, realize this is going to be hard work, but it will be worth it. February 20th will almost be a standstill day, and you will wonder what's going on since there is so much energy on the previous days. Don't worry, though. You need the break. The universal minds that be are throwing a little shield over you for some quiet and the thinking time, and will bring you undoubtedly more clarity. February 21st, the energy returns and you are in for some steep recognitions and some rewards. February 22nd and 23rd. So this is the weekend where relaxation comes on strong. You've totally earned it, so don't feel guilty in the least for what is to come. February 24th, you might have some questions or pushback from people telling you this isn't how they would do things. But you need to trust your gut on this one. As soon as we up level, others will notice and be a bit insecure if they are not rising to the occasion themselves. These people will come around. February 25th, following your gut will prove you right as the clarity comes and you will realize that you are the one who was right after all. This is complete validation to trust yourself. February 26th, 27th, and 28th, your head is in the books at work once again, but this time you'll know the way forward and what you need to do, and there are no distractions. Wait until you see what March brings to the table. So like I said, if you want the PDF enhanced guide for this month's forecast, join me in Manifesting Momentum with Marisa. It is a free private channel, and this is the last month that I'm going to be doing this guide in our free community, and the energy forecast is going to be up leveling as we move along. There will be some excitement moving on with the energy forecast. You're going to see a little bit of maybe what I did before and maybe a little bit of what I'm going into coming up. And there's going to be also opportunities for you to step into getting more of the enhancements with the forecast, as well as many other things that we have in store for you. So before I go, I want to remind you to take the free gift of the Getting Unstuck audio series. Go to the link below. You just fill in your name and email, and it will come right to your inbox. Again, the link is below. It's my gift to you to get started for this year's shift in consciousness. And also visit my new website, MarisaLizaPell.com. Very excited about it. So in summary, what are you going to do? If you want the PDF enhanced guide, we have it for one more month in Manifesting Momentum with Marisa. You definitely want to download the free gift I have for you, the Getting Unstuck audio series. It's for all of 2025 and where you are headed. Make sure to connect with me, Facebook, Instagram, or in Momentum with Marisa. I'd love to hear from you. And I can't wait to see you next month for the March energy forecast. I'll see you soon.